Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You surviving over there, Shannon?
Yes, I'm a little sunburned, but I'm surviving.
Good morning, Tania. Good morning, Elsie. Good morning, April.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody, weekend.
Wonderful.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Hey, how's business up? You're in Cleveland, right?
You talking to me?
Uh huh.
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, you in Memphis? It's your
Yeah,
sister.
Sharon and Cleveland.
How is business in Memphis?
It's great. I got a client. I met with a client yesterday. I'm still struggling working with sellers.
What's your struggle?
Knowing what to say. Um, my comeback is I have a slow comeback, and when I'm talking to a seller, I shut down.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Um, if you want to talk about it on this app, we can, or you can give me a call. You know my number, but the whole objective is to get in front of sellers. So that's usually what real estate issue agents problem is getting in is getting in front of enough sellers to even have a conversation. So the fact that you were able to gain presence in front of them is good. So maybe you just need some scripts, or do you, or maybe an understanding of the process, which will probably help you a little bit more to be able to have that conversation. But we can talk about it if you want to.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone, hey Andre, hey Shell, how's everybody going? Doing?
Good morning.
Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're talking about inflation. We're going to talk about some tips on inflating our business, how to have conversations with our clients, because a lot of our clients antennas are up about what should I do. How many of you guys have heard that question over and over again? Should I buy real estate right now? What should I be doing?
Yes.
Yeah, so today what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some tips on how to answer those questions, and for your own personal knowledge, for you to understand how to operate your business in this time, and what we should be looking for as signs that this is subsiding, or it's getting worse, or what should we be doing. So how many of us on here have a kind of good understanding of what inflation is? Does anyone know or want to guess?
Is when the loans, like the interest rate going up, and so the people who was qualified for that the people who had buyer power no longer have buyer power due to the interest rates and the qualification of the loan.
Yes, so that is correct. That's the actual effect of what inflation actually did to the real estate market, right? And so, what it does, what inflation is, it is a rise in interest, period. So, it is a rise in prices and a rise in interest to inflate people to start spending more money because we don't have enough money coming through our economy. That's the basic answer to it, right? So, it increases the demand in prices all around. So, most of you guys have noticed that everything is went up, right? The groceries have went up, the gas has went up, the everything that you want to do, traveling goes up, airline tickets is going up. And so that has to happen, because if we look at the economy as a wheel, right now we are locked. So if you guys have rims on your car, there's like a little key in your car that will unlock your rim in order for you to be able to remove the tire and to get new tires, right? So right now, our will is locked. If you look at the economy as something that's rolling, we don't have enough money rolling through our economy as a whole, our country as a whole, to make the prices go down. So, in order for us to get the wheel rolling again, we have to encourage spending. So, that sounds crazy, right? That sounds like, why would I tell people to spend money at a time like this? Well, the sooner people begin to spend money, the less we will pay for the products that we get. Like the interest rates will begin to level out. The prices of gas will begin to go down. The prices of your groceries and your commodities will go down. So we have to encourage people to spend so that these things happen. But most of the time, when anything changes in our lives, we begin to take a strong grip on everything that we have, because we don't know if we're going to get some more of it. So, as a real estate agent, we really should be encouraging the community to buy homes and sellers to sell homes. And I know that sounds crazy, but in reality, it's not because we need to make money. It's because that's one of the major things that people buy during the inflation in order to make the prices go down. So, with all of that said, how many of you guys have had people ask you, is it a good time to buy? I,
Of course, yeah.
so kind of help me guess, like, what do you think the answer should be? Like, is it a good time? Do you guys believe right now it is a good time to buy real estate?
I
I
believe
say it
anytime
depends
you're in
on your
the
situation. Oh, I'm sorry.
oh,
Go ahead. um who was that speaking at first, Tania?
No, I took my mic off to say something, but I was actually
Hey,
patient, patient speak.
go ahead, patient.
No, I would say it depends on your situation if it's a good time to buy.
Okay, so what you mean by a situation?
Do you have money saved? Can you afford to buy? That's the question. If you have money saved and you can afford to buy, then yes, it's a good time to buy for you.
So that's a good answer, right? So let's if you don't mind, let's role play a little bit, right? I can be the agent versus you, if that's if whichever way you want to do it.
Okay, that's fine. You can be the agent.
Okay,
You're a good
so
agent.
so ask me that question, and I'm going to respond the way you did, and then we're going to go a little further, right? So,
Okay. Okay, so Janelle, so I'm thinking about buying, but I'm just trying to find out, is right now a good time to buy?
so it kind of depends on where you are in the market. Do you have is your credit good?
It's fair. My credit score is like a 680.
Okay. Now, do you currently own a home right now?
I don't. My lease is about to be up.
Okay, so let me explain to you how leases work. So, what's one of the fears that you have about buying in this market right now?
Well, I've been heard, like my friend bought a house and she was saying she keeps getting outbidded. So that's kind of my fear of trying to get a house and I can't get it because somebody bids higher than me.
oh, and
Okay.
then not only that, Janelle, also because I'm in property management, a lot of people are putting in their 60-day notice with that expectation of their closing date being this date, and when they come back to the leasing office, of course they didn't close. They got to push it back 60 more days. At that time, when a resident put their notice in, their apartment goes back on the market.
Very
So
good.
somebody is able to come in and lease that apartment.
Okay. So, if you let's say that okay, so patience. You're afraid to go back, say your statement again.
The only thing that I'm afraid of is because my friend is trying to buy a house as well, and she tells me she keeps getting outbidded. So that's like my only concern about buying a house. I don't want to put in my notice to move, and then I can't find a house because I'm outbidded.
That is a very smart concern. And so what I would advise you to do is there's a lot of ways that we can combat that, right? So I'm pretty sure in your lease it tells you that you can go month to month. But what I want you to understand about leasing is that you have no control, right? If you decide that you're going to renew your lease could go up in price, then there's nothing that you can do about it. If you
Right,
own the home, then you can get a fixed rate. So one thing about being in a situation like inflation, where prices are rising all around you, with a fixed mortgage, you won't ever get a rise in your mortgage unless you don't pay your taxes or your insurance goes up, right? But
right,
your principal and interest will not go up. But in your apartment, If you don't renew your lease, or if you do renew your lease, the month to month fee or the new lease fee is going to increase. I can almost guarantee you that prices are going to increase because investors know that in a time of inflation, the best place to put their money is in real estate. That's the number one move that most smart, savvy people with money make. Because one thing about real estate, it's a product that can pay you back. So if I bought gas, even though gas is getting higher, I need gas. It's a necessity. But real estate, if I put my money into real estate, if the prices are higher for me to purchase it, it's also higher for me to receive it. I'm going to receive more interest. I mean, more. I'm going to receive more equity. That's what the word I'm looking for. But more importantly, I can use that and have more choices. So that means if I decide to rent it out, it would be better because I'm going to get higher rent. As long as the rate of inflation is high, rent is going to increase, and also the value of the property is going to increase. So from that perspective, do you not think it's smarter for you to put your money in real estate instead of renting?
I think it is smarter to put my money into real estate. That's why I want to go ahead and buy a house. That's just my concern. I just want to be able to get one.
So it's my job to put you in a position to win. And so there's things as a real estate agent that I do in my business to make sure that my clients are winning bids in this area. So I'm going to put you in a position to look profitable in front of the seller. And I keep abreast of what's going on in the market at all times. So I will know when properties hit the market before the average real estate agent will. And most real estate agents in this time will fold because they really don't know what to do. But I'm truly equipped on how to make my sellers put my buyers in winning positions and to communicate with sellers. So if that's one of the issues that you're having, I promise to help you get to the property faster and to get the property at a great price. Does that sound like a plan?
Okay. It definitely sounds like a plan.
Now, how do you think I'm gonna do that? How do I put my buyer in a position to win?
You're gonna make sure they're pre-approved. You're gonna make sure they have a offer that is gonna get the seller's attention.
So I definitely gonna do that. And the way one of the greatest hedges of against inflation that you guys have as real estate agents is your partnerships and your relationships. And if you notice that you are probably getting information and emails, and you'll see Facebook posts and advertisements of how creative the mortgage lending community is becoming, right? And so there's so many products out here that's going to be able to help us with this process. So my job is to go out and meet people who I can partner with. My job is to go out and find someone who can actually approve my clients, get them to where they need to be, so that we can write 2-week contracts versus writing 30-day contracts. Do you guys know any lenders in the industry that can make that happen?
No, ma'am.
No, not really. I got like 21 days.
So there's actually lenders out there who are guaranteeing that we will get your client approved. All they have to do is find a house. We'll do the whole process. We will underwrite them all the way from the beginning to the end. So basically, we find a house, we approve the taxes, and they can close in 14 to 21 days. That's the people that you're looking for. So, as a real estate agent, your job is to change your direction of who you're doing business with.
Might I say something, Janelle? Well,
Mhm.
I did come across a company that's called Landry's, like more like when I have people reaching out to me, but it's more of those rent to own uh finance. They guarantee to close in 14 days.
So if we can kind of look at the numbers with that, what we have been seeing is that they're on top of us, right? So that is a great option for someone who doesn't have a lot of money, right? But I've had a few agents look into those programs, and yes, it will help them close faster. So they have to think about how much money is costing, because also what inflation is a sign that money costs more. So if I use the is it smart to use the rent to own company to purchase it and then refinance it in my name just so I can use that as leverage to get the contract? Yes. But how much is that repurchase going to cost me? Right. So, like the name of the program you just named is probably a Tennessee program, but in Texas we have Divvy, right? A lot of people are using that program because it does help you buy faster and it does have you have to put down less money and it gives you more options. But the repurchase of your property is a little bit more expensive than it would be in a normal market. It'd be a little smart, it'd be probably smarter um if you were to refinance, read the contract with those companies. If they allow you to refinance with a regular bank, because technically the property is in your name is on the deed, then that would probably be a smarter out than renting to own because it's kind of like putting you in a cycle, if that makes sense.
Correct. Okay, I want to ask you another question that
Okay.
me and Sharon were discussing. Like, when I do run across sellers who want to sell a house, the question is, where do I go? And a lot of them sitting in their biggest debt, and which is their home, and they ready to get out. I was now this what I was saying with Sharon. We are It's our job to figure out help our client to. Would it be best to purchase a second home, like an agent purchase a home, right? And just say you got a client who wants you to sell their house, but they don't have nowhere to go. But you have this house on the other side of the town. It's not in the best neighborhood, but it's in a great neighbor. It's on a great street where not only you their agent, but you their landlord. You're their temporary. You doing temporary lease to your client as their landlord, and then you also selling a home, and then you turn around and help them purchase a second house, but you only leasing your other house to them to like wedge the gap. Would that be a good idea as an age, or would that cause any conflict of interest?
So, that is a good idea. I don't know that in every state that would cause a problem. In our state, in Texas, that would not cause a problem, right? You leasing to a consumer, it doesn't matter if they're your seller or not. That's providing a concierge service. That's providing a service, right? So that does put you ahead of most real estate agents who don't actually own rental property who can offer that choice. What I would suggest is that we think of it different, right? So they're not actually sitting on their biggest debt, they're actually sitting on their biggest asset, if this makes sense. So they can actually become their own hero if you look at it the correct way. So imagine a seller having quite a bit of equity in a home, but they still own a mortgage. It's actually their biggest asset that they have because they could actually go get a HELOC if their credit was good, and a HELOC is a home equity line of credit, which operates like a credit card. They could actually go buy their saving grace, their rescue boat. So they could buy an investment property, they could live in that investment property until they're able to sell their house. Now, they didn't pull all of their equity out because they used it like a credit card. So basically, what they did was they just put their down payment on this credit card. So they still have a lot of equity in their home, but they are living on another side of town or in a different place, or maybe even in their vacation area where they want to live, right? Because if they work from home, they don't have to live in a certain place. So if they wanted to always buy a vacation home in Florida, they could actually take the equity from their house, go buy a vacation home there, and actually work from there until they were able to sell their house. So it's their rescue boat. It's their biggest asset. It's not necessarily the biggest debt.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
hmm But your idea is good. That's what we're supposed to do as real estate agents. We're supposed to think outside the box. So, do I, as real estate agent, need to go out and buy investment properties at this time?
I would buy. Well, if the inflation is pushing people out of their homes and they trying to do a quick sale, I would purchase. I would buy at a great price that will benefit me and as well as the client. If it, but if it's gonna cause friction between our relationship, I rather walk away from the deal.
I mean, that makes sense. As a real estate agent, all of you should be buying rental property right now. Why? That's the number one thing that investors and smart economic people do, right? When the money gets high, they realize that, are we really, is the interest rates really high, or is the interest rates where they were supposed to be in the first place? That's a good question. How many of you guys believe that the interest rates are high?
No, they were they supposed to be like.
Is where they supposed to be.
Right. So that's our job is to educate the community that the interest rates really are not high. What you're comparing it to is the pandemic, and that hasn't happened in over 50 years. Like, interest rates have never been that low in the last 50 years. So if the pandemic would have never happened, if we erase those 2 years out of our minds, our interest rates were where they were supposed to be anyway. These are pre-pandemic interest rates, so they're really not high. And as an investor, these are the interest rates that you were receiving when you were getting hard money. And so the objective of gaining more money is to use other people's money, OPM, other people's money. So if you were to go out and buy investment properties as real estate agents and use other people's money, the interest rates are probably going to be anywhere between 8 to 12%. It's not high when the rental rates are getting to $2,000. They say in August we're going to reach an average of $2,000 a month. So imagine me going out and buying a property at 8% interest rate, but yet I am getting the max rent that I've ever been able to get before. That is actually good, right? I'm getting paid back on the interest that being that I am spending. So the number one thing that most people do during these times of inflation is they go out and buy real estate and commodities. They do build savings accounts though, because what's the number real estate is the number one thing that people own in inflation, but what's the next thing that they have?
Equity.
Cash. That's what equity is, right? A lot of people have cash on hand because with cash you can make different decisions. So putting your money in the bank is only going to give you a 0 point something 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 interest on it. But having cash on hand allows you to make different decisions. So when they tell you to invest in stocks, that may be a good thing, but it's certain stocks that you need to be investing in. But having cash on hand gives you a little power. So the only two things that gives us true power right now is knowledge and land. So if we don't own any of the two, then we're going to be in a bad position. So our job is to learn how inflation, don't be scared of inflation, guys. Your job is to learn how inflation can put you in a great position. Everybody is not in a bad position because of inflation. Everyone does not have a problem buying gas. Some people can buy gas. Most people can. Even the people who feel like they can't, they just need a different conversation from a professional to help them understand. So, if a person came to me and said, "Well, you know what? Everything's going up. Groceries going up, gas going up. I can't afford all this stuff. I'm not going to buy a house right now. I'm just going to wait." Well, why not buy an asset that can pay for your gas and your everything that's going up on you, your groceries? If you bought a rental property and put down a small investment, a down payment, then that rental property could be the money that pays for your gas, your water, your lights, your entertainment, your travel, and the things that you want to do that are expensive right now. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
So maybe it's not a good time for your sellers to sell, but it may be a good time for you to help them to redirect their equity so now that they own one to two or three properties. And so typically you're still getting the sale because prices for rental properties are still high, um, higher than the average. We used to could buy a rental property for $45,000, $50,000, or an investment property. Now investments are in the hundreds, 150, 100, $200,000. So it may not be that they sell the exact house they're living in right now, but could they use the equity to go out and buy other properties so that they can pay for the things that they're complaining about?
Yes, ma'am, they can.
Right. So what is our biggest step that we need to make from this day, guys? What do you think we should be doing?
Well, I would say, from what I'm hearing, like as we working with clients, it's best to put back money to save to invest back into ourselves.
Absolutely. It's our job is to gain knowledge. We need to increase our knowledge bank and we need to increase our income. So if you can't beat them, join them is a good acronym to use or a good saying to use. What you should be doing is looking for the opportunities. You have first dibs on the opportunities to invest and to find property and solve problems in our community. So if you can't afford to purchase them, having knowledge of where they are, you can still make money off of them because there's investors who are still able to buy. So we may also have to redirect who our customers are. If we are working with people who can just afford the bare minimum in housing, then we should know about different programs. So, what programs can help you, some of your clients that aren't able to buy in the typical market we're in right now?
The first time buyer program that also assists with down payment.
Mm-hmm.
The the hero program, um, the rent to own program.
mm-hmm.
NACA.
What's some other programs that are United States wide? What are programs are out there, guys, that we could use? Like who knows about the Home Path program? Are you guys familiar with the Home Path program?
Not me.
Somewhat familiar.
So I want you guys to Google it's a Freddie Mac Home Path program. Google homepath.com and learn about the Home Path program.
The city of Houston
So
has a program too with like 30,000 down
every
payment assistance.
yes, most cities have a down payment assistance program. Most cities also have a program that hedges the gap between what you can own and what you can afford. Every city does. So my suggestion would be going to the housing departments on your city website wherever you live and find out what programs they're putting into play so that you guys can advertise those programs and utilize those programs, because some of these programs take studying and education and certificates from us in order for them to be able to use it. But right now in Acres Homes, they are providing home ownership programs to people who want to live in that area or want a better place of living. And there's certain things that they have to do, but they could typically buy a $300,000 house and only afford $140,000 house. So knowing where your opportunity zones is in the areas in which you live is also a really good thing for you guys to know. Because where opportunity zones are, monies are being used. I know here in the city of Houston, they have a 8 point something million fund that they're using to help people rent and pay their bills and increase their incomes and help them with rental prices. So that's just not going to be just here. They're redirecting all of the COVID-19 funds that were left over in those programs to help people buy homes. So you guys need to know in the cities in which you sell where they're going to be using those funds and how they can use them to help the community. But you got the first thing you could do if you have any money or any leverage, like good credit or not necessarily even good credit, because I just found a program that doesn't matter how much your credit is, they will loan you 150% of CTLV, which is cash to loan value. They'll loan you 100% of the rehab cost, and they will give you up to 75 to 85% of the purchase of the ARV on our investment property. So you really need little to no money. They don't go against your credit. So if you had another real estate agent that you were networking with, or you could get together, you guys could actually get together and joint venture a project and buy some rental property so that you guys can have some extra income coming in at this time. And when you have clients that can't move, you can offer them a place to stay.
What's the name of that program? Because I need that for my house.
Oh, you okay? Let me give it to you. It is, hold on a second. I just found it yesterday. Go to www.gapfundingpartners.com. It's a private money company. And they go up to $10.5 million in the loan. They give you same day approvals and they don't have any upfront lender cost.
Gap funding what?
Thank you.
It's called gapfundingpartners.com. So a lot of times what I have done to help myself to gain knowledge and to leverage is I've joined a lot of different groups, a lot of different wealth communities, a lot of different groups. You guys may see these things advertised online and on social media, and you're like, is it a good idea to join these groups? It actually is, because what I'm doing is I'm buying knowledge for a very small price. I'm getting access to partnerships and people and knowledge that would not necessarily be shared with me. So I spend about an hour to 2 hours a day listening to Clubhouse, to other people's clubhouses, so that I can gain knowledge, because it's free information. I do. I join a lot of email lists that most of us are saying. I'm not putting my email on there so I can get all that junk mail. Actually, I do. It probably gets on Shannon's nerves because when she goes to my emails, I have 1,000 emails. But I'm actually reading these emails and gaining this knowledge that I'm sharing with you guys, because right now people are pouring out more than they ever poured out before. People are teaching you things that you would probably have to spend thousands of dollars to learn and be in a certain group of people and platform and environment to get. And they're just putting it on apps and emails. So I actually joined them just to see what they have to say. So a lot of this knowledge is costing me hundreds of dollars, but it is power that no one can take back from me. So as a real estate agent, I definitely invite you and suggest that you go out and start talking to all of these different lenders and partners. If you guys have lenders that you like and they've getting your deals done, and that's fine and dandy. But if those people run out of money or they change positions or they leave their company, you're pretty screwed. So it's not smart to just know one person that does one thing. So this is a private money fund. So if I had a client who was approved for $200,000 and we were having a really hard time finding them something, I would just turn them over to a private lender. If the private lender is only going to charge them 7 to 8% interest, and the current interest rate right now is 4.5 to 5%, it probably behooves them to go with a private lender. Do you think?
Yes, ma'am.
So you guys should choose. It's now time to build your tool belts for those things. Now, as a real estate agent, these are some suggestions that I think as I studied, I think this is great. But we have to one, we have to change our mindset, right? We have to believe that it's a great time to buy. We have to have the knowledge and the tools to support our thinking. Um, and then we need to eliminate any unnecessary expenses that we have. If you're at the point where you have a lot of things going out, a lot of systems that you're using, a lot of money you're spending in a bunch of different places, it might be time to rally all that stuff together and see if you can find one system or one thing you're spending money on that could do all of the stuff that you're using all of these other systems to do. Um, it's time for us to shop different. It's time for us to reduce our home expenses as real estate agents. So it's time to sit down and evaluate our budgets and figure out where everything is going out. A lot of us, not picking on anyone, I'll volunteer to tell you I do this in certain parts of my life. Is as long as I can afford to spend it, and that it doesn't affect my savings or any major products that I'm doing, I really don't pay attention to what's going out. So there's an app called Truebuild, and a lot of people don't want to use it because they say if the app says it's going to save you money, it's going to go through your bank account and it's going to show you other places where you can save money where you're spending. And people stop reading about the app as soon as they say they're going to take a portion of what they save you. But that's only a one-time payment. So imagine using Truebill and they save you $500 a month. And yes, they're going to get $250 of that $500. But that's a one time fee when you're going to be saving this money for a lifetime. So a lot of us don't really pay attention to the money we're spending because it's flowing naturally. But it's going to get to a point where we need to pay attention to that. So why not start now? Pay off any debt that you guys, small debts. Start with the smallest debt first. That's the Dave Ramsey theory. And then work your way up so that if you were to have an emergency, you will be able to use your credit cards because they're not maxed out, or be able to get small personal loans because you don't have a lot of debt to income ratio. And when you get ready to buy investment properties, you can actually buy because your debt to income ratio is not affected. And then you find other ways to increase your income. So as a real estate agent, if your sales were begin to fall, what are other ways that you guys could increase your income?
Property management.
Very good. Very good. What's some other ways?
I'll say use your gift that you're already good in. That do something that you enjoy doing. Like if you are one of those crafty people like to make stuff and sell, I would say go to your passion.
Mm-hmm. Very good. You definitely reach back to your passion. It's they tell us we're supposed to have 7 streams of income, so that's a great thing to do. What else would I do?
I thought
For
real
me,
estate
it's
was our
photography.
passion.
Say it again, AK.
For me, it's photography. I can do real estate photography in downtimes.
Man, that's great. That's awesome. That's good. So what I would do, AK, if I were you, let's say I have that gift and I know that I can do photography, I would go and start um, researching websites who offer the photography right now, and make sure I have the equipment to do and compete. So if I had a sale coming up and I knew that maybe I needed to get a drone or some licenses that go along with that, or I needed an app that could do virtual staging and this kind of stuff, I would be thinking about putting together a whole package that I could stay competitive to the people that are offering this service, but be a little bit cheaper than they are, so that I could gain leverage fast. Because I still have another vehicle that they don't have. I have real estate. I can still sell real estate. It's just not going as fast as it was going before. So my prices would still be good, but a little bit cheaper to beat my competition. But I've used my real estate money that I was making to make sure I have all the equipment that I needed to compete. That would be my. What else could we do?
Transaction coordinator.
Very good. I could be a transaction coordinator. If I'm a real estate agent, I have real estate license, and I've been selling real estate for any period of time. I've wrote enough contracts. I have done the business long enough to know how to streamline it and to make it an advantage to me. So I know who the players are in my community and in my market. And so if I'm not selling a lot, I'm going to go work with them who is selling a lot. And I'm going to become their transaction coordinator, and in the meantime, I'm still gaining more knowledge. I'm getting more experience. And when I'm ready to get back in the game, all I have to do is to switch, like hitting a button, turning the light on. That's it. That's a great job. That's a great idea.
And
What about developing, building, flipping?
Very good. So if I don't have, let's say I don't have any business going right now, and I know someone who is definitely developing and working in that area. I was just telling my husband this the other day, is that we should be in the community. And so if I know someone who is developing, I may not be able to participate in that certain project. But if they're willing to let me tag along and figure out this, Andre runs a construction clubhouse every Monday. And so he's teaching you stage by stage what happens this time, what happens next, what happens this. If you guys as real estate agents have first knowledge to the land, to the opportunities, but you just don't have any money to buy them, know that every developer is looking for their next project. So you can get paid for what you know. You know how the process goes because you're learning. So it's the perfect time to learn a new niche.
And I would say if you're trying to learn something new, I don't care what it is. If you come from a place of consistently adding value to the person that you need help from, you would not lose. But you have to have in your mind that I'm going to stay on this course until my breakthrough comes. And I think some of our challenges are we put a time limit on when they're going to release the information to us before we give up on them. But if you really want to go to the next level, you have to be willing to be consistently adding value to this person until they release and open up the floodgate and start sharing stuff with you. Are we willing to do that? That's the question.
Um, so I mean that is true, right? When you hang around the vets, you have to catch every crumb, if that makes sense. Um, so if you can't, if you don't know what to add, you don't have any value to add, this is a great time to figure out where to go get the value that you need. So I would suggest just being in that community, being in that environment, being around the where the table is. You may not have a seat at the table, but you definitely can catch the crumbs. And that may sound like belittling, but in reality, every little bit of information as a crumb helps us, right? Latanya was saying that you could be a showing agent. If you have you need gas money, you should be a showing agent because you're still in the midst of real estate, but you can go out and you can use your vehicle to make money. So being a showing agent is like the Uber of real estate. If you had a car note that you can't pay because you don't have enough sales coming through, then maybe you should do Uber and do showing agents all at the same time. So when you don't have an Uber ride, you have houses that you're showing, and create a whole service though. This don't be a fly by night. Create a whole service, provide a level of value that no one else is providing. If I was a showing agent, I would not just show your clients, I would provide an experience because I want to give them something that they're not necessarily receiving. So when the feedback goes back to the agent, the buying agent who asked me to show their property, their clients is always going to be looking for me. I don't want to take your client. I want to do anything. I just want to provide an experience. So I have chargers in my car. I have water in my car. I play a playlist for them. I'm always got Clubhouse on so they can be learning something in my car. I'm going to provide them an experience that they're not going to get from someone who's doing something for money. So that's why I like what Tania said. Use your passion to make money. Because if real estate truly is your passion, you won't just do it any kind of way. Whether you were sweeping floors or managing a restaurant, if that's your passion, is to feed people and be in an environment, you're going to do it all the same. So do that with real estate. Whatever you choose to do to hedge the gap, do it with everything that you have and provide experiences for people because will forget how much money you spend on them, but they will never forget how you make them feel.
That's the philosophy I take with my parents and birthday gifts,
Yeah.
experiences.
Experiences, yeah. It was important for me, especially in my first marriage, for me to provide experiences for my mother-in-law and father-in-law because that's an age group where people really didn't get a lot of loving on, right? They were about the hustle and bustle, and it was about providing. And so I realized that my mother-in-law had never been to a restaurant besides Colonial Cafeteria. So providing a experience for people goes way further than buying them anything or doing anything for them because they will remember it. And when people remember you, they tell other people about you. And so our job is to spread it wide and let it grow deep. So if you go out providing experiences for people, um, and you're just doing your job, you're providing that experience. Another real estate agent will tell another real estate agent in the office, and before you know it, you're making thousands of dollars a day versus hundreds of dollars a month because you took it to the next level. Even though it seems like very minimal, right? Somebody's paying me $25 to show a door, to show a property. That's not any money. It actually is. If you're opening doors all day and providing experiences, people are going to open up to you. They're going to have conversations in that car. They're going to be able to tell you how they got the money that they have. So it's actually really good. What else could we do?
Real estate is so broad that it's almost, I don't know. All you gotta do is think a little bit. You can be a referral agent for contractors. You know what I mean? Have them pay you a fee to go out and sell their services. You know, you meeting people that deal with houses every day. So
Amen.
Well, in my downtime when I'm not doing real estate, I'm actually doing appraisal assistant for a company, but they only
Mm,
nice.
hire a agent. And I go in, it 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 keep me in a loop of meeting new people, different people from different aspects of life, and get to know them and get to learn who they are and how I can assist them. And I'm only in their house for 25 to 30 minutes and I made $150. Sometimes I try to do four of them a day
mm-hmm.
to make a decent income.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good. If you think about this enough and you want it enough, you will consider it enough. And this may be belittled to some of us, right? Like this may not be something that I'm interested in doing, but the assistant and appraiser, knowing what they're looking for, knowing what they're thinking, going out and getting the knowledge and being in these homes and talking to these people and just being in the midst of real estate will make you more money than sitting on the sideline complaining about the interest rates and trying to wait for something else to happen for yourself. The knowledge that you're gaining doing this, knowing more about where we're going as far as appraisals and what the appraisal is thinking and how this stuff is going to work out than most of us as real estate agents, right? Most of us are still putting these houses on the market overpriced, crossing our fingers, crossing our legs, and saying, oh, yeah, people are buying anything. But we're not researching. There is a statistic on NAR that says 85% of the people who bought between 2019 and 2022 have buyer's remorse. Now, what does that mean for us as real estate agents? That means that there's 87% of the communities that we were sold to who don't believe in us anymore, who believe that we tricked them, who believe that they should not have bought this. Someone should have educated me. Someone should have told me something. So some of us going to have bad reviews because we just put people in anything. Even though they made the decision, whose fault is it always? It always falls back on the real estate agent. So by knowing where we're going, being in knowledge and in the lane with an appraiser who can tell us what they know about this economy can better equip our clients. This is going to be the era of time where real estate agents, the ones who actually have the knowledge and the forecast of where things are going, is going to win, because it's not always good for a seller to sell. So if I go to a seller's house and I want to take the listing so bad that I tell them, oh, yeah, it's a good market, still a good time, don't worry about the interest rates, that's not good information. But if I can teach the seller to, hey, stay here in your home, stay at your price range, stay at your interest rate, but hey, let's pull some of this equity out and go buy you another property and then another property and use that money to fund your life by design, that's a good thing to tell them. Not just, oh, yeah, sell your house because I need sales. That's what I really want you to know. Why is it good? Study inflation, guys. Google is your best friend. Study inflation. Go to NAR, go to TR, go to your local websites to figure out how you best operate in your market during the time of inflation. That's really your fiduciary duties. And right now, it's imperative for you guys to know your contracts and know your laws and know your rules, because people are trying to pull the rug over our eyes right now, guys. So without you knowing how to operate in this market, we can make some really costly mistakes.
Janelle, we can use the example I called you on as
Oh
an
yeah.
example.
And Andre, you were the fourth contract call I got, but last night Andre called me because there was a wholesaler in the city, and she was wholesaling a deal. So actually she got under contract on one of Andre's properties, and she was wholesaling this property. She had to find two different buyers, but she wanted Andre to write an amendment saying that the earnest money was going to be refunded to her right now. Now they're supposed to close. Is it today, Andre?
Yeah, we were supposed to close yesterday, and then it's been pushed to today.
Okay. So now this wholesaler is saying she's under contract with Andre for a property. She's reassigned the contract to another investor, but she wants Andre to write an amendment to tell the title company to release her earnest money right now to her. She wants the option fee and the earnest money released to her. How many of you guys know what to do? Like, what would you do in this situation right here?
What was her reasoning?
Because the new buyer is going to put down earnest money and option fee, and she wants her money back because she's not the buyer anymore. She assigned it to her partner. What would y'all do?
Call you.
I will hold it into. I will hold it to make sure all obligation met, because the first contract was with her, and it from the sound of it don't sound like anything went wrong. It's just like she bagged out and brought for another buyer or partner.
Okay. What else will we do? As real estate agents, I really want y'all to contribute to this conversation. And the reason why is because we need to know, because this stuff is happening around us all day, every day. She's not the Andre was not the only person who called me about this conversation.
First of all, if Andre calling asking questions, then I'm in the right clubhouse room. So I guess you would not give your money back. You would not get the money back, right?
I mean, so the lady was, I'm pretty sure Andre told her that. Like, I'm not comfortable with doing this. But how do we tell her no? Like, let me tell you one thing about this lady. Um, she was super aggressive. She was not trying to hear what um Andre was saying. Matter of fact, she wasn't trying to hear me until I started spitting numbers and stuff to her. Because one thing I do know is that contract.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I will pull out the contract and highlight it in black and white. I mean, she could say whatever, but black and white is where it stands.
So the bearer of proof is on her at all times. Know that when a buyer is in a contract, the buyer has all the outs, but a buyer also has all the moves. So if we looked at this as chess, they got to make the moves. So what I explained to her last night was there can only be one set of earnest money and option fee put on any property. The reason why the title company will not automatically release it to you is because there can only be one set of earnest money and option fee placed on a deal. So if you read paragraph 18 of the contract, it tells you that the earnest money will be released to the cash down payment. And after that, it will be released to any fees, and any excess will be refunded to the buyer. So if you found a new buyer, then you need to collect the earnest money and the option fee from the new buyer, because earnest money has to be put down for on a contract that is wrote on. Now, earnest money is not a valid, does not is not required for a valid contract, right? But it is required if you wrote it on a contract. So since you wrote a contract with Andre originally and said that this earnest money was going to be deposited, the monies have to be at the title company. So if the title company releases your money to you, where is the earnest money going to come from? She says the new buyer is going to put it down. Well, that makes no sense. If we're closing tomorrow and the new buyer is going to deposit earnest money, they need to just give their money to you so that the contract can be satisfied at the title company. What she was saying made no sense. But
So so are you saying that she, as the wholesaler, right,
mm-hmm.
should collect the money from the new possible buyers and then void the contract right before the closing?
No, not void. She can have, since earnest money and option actually is not required to have a valid contract. Neither one of those monies are required to have a valid contract, right?
But it's on the contract though. They
But now
already
it's
agreed to it.
right. So now that it's on the contract, it's her obligation because it was her first, her name was there first. So the title company is taught what to do by what you put on that contract. So the money was collected and her name was on the paper. All she did was change the name. She did not change the contract contents. When she did an amendment at first, she changed her name from Jane to Bill. That's it. So the rest of the contract still stands. So we cannot remove your earnest money without earnest money being there. But she can have whatever side contract with her new buyer that she wants to have. So I told her to tell them to give her their earnest money. She can write a contract between the two of them and says, "Hey, you're going to give me $3,500." That's between them. But the contract that's at the title company has to be performed. And her client can't go. What she kept trying to tell me was what the new buyer is going to go to the title company and deposit earnest money. Well, that makes no sense because we're closing tomorrow. But even if they were to go and try to deposit earnest money, they can't because it's already earnest money there and it can only be one set of earnest money and one option fee.
She sound greedy. I hate people like that.
She was a real fast, smooth talker. She just came up to talk to the wrong person.
So what was her ultimate
She
goal?
was very,
She was just trying to
her,
figure out trying she
her
was just
ultimate goal was to
go.
play, try to figure out what I know, and based on figure out what she can get away with. Well, she didn't know she was talking to the US real estate team, right? But the main thing was also she kept putting pressure on me to sign this amendment, and I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that because I kept telling her if I sign this, what leverage do I have against you? If I sign this, you can walk away and say, hey, I couldn't find nobody. I'm sorry. Boom. Now I just spent 45 days with this under contract with her and get nothing for it.
So that's the
So
way I saw it. So what her ultimate goal was to move her 100%. This was her goal. Her goal was to remove her liability 100%. First time she found a buyer, it didn't work. So this is her second buyer that she's found for this property. They've been on contract for 45 days and she wants her earnest money back. So what it told me was that maybe this buyer won't close today, or maybe she's pissed off this other buyer and she has no communication with them, so she may not get her money, and it wasn't enough spread in the deal for us to take the risk on our side. So technically she's only going to make $1,000 to $2,000 on this deal, and she wants her earnest money back because her earnest money is probably more than the money she's going to make on this deal. And she did it all wrong. She shouldn't have signed the contract. As a true wholesaler, you're supposed to do a simultaneous close. So she should have had a separate contract with the buyer. And now she's under contract with Andre, and they're supposed to close at the same time. And she wouldn't have had to deliver any monies. She would have just had to um, get the spread in between. Whatever was left over went to her. But what happened was the market shifted in the midst of her being in contract with Andre. So
Yeah.
the title company said, no, 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 no. We recognize this and we are following the rules and we are not releasing this earnest money to you. You are no longer the buyer, so you are no longer part of this contract. So she was trying to screw Andre out of the earnest money because technically she's no longer part of the contract, but she put the money up.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
another thing she did at the beginning, she tried to only give me $200 for earnest money. I said, nah,
Hmm.
nah, 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 no, no.
That's why wholesalers don't typically buy property off of the MLS. They go to sellers and owners that are off the market because they don't know any better.
Hmm.
But she tried to play in the MLS game because at one point the MLS game was hot enough for her to make a bunch of money. But in the midst of it, every month this game is changing and she wasn't doing her due diligence. So she went and played the MLS game, which is really not smart for a wholesaler because there's not a big enough spread. Wholesalers make 5 to 10 to 15 to $20,000 on a deal. You can't do that if you find a property on the MLS because that means the seller's savvy enough to know where the spread is. They want it.
So she wasn't as smart as we thought she was.
Correct. And she didn't study the market enough to know the shift. Now, at one point in our market, it was okay for a wholesaler to go on the MLS because there was a lot of spread, right?
When was
If
that?
that was when, but in the midst of the pandemic, in between 20 and 21, they was smart enough. It was smart to do that, right? Because if a seller could get overage, she could too. So imagine a house being on the market and she got it for the price it was advertised. It was on the market for 200, she bought it for 200. But technically, in that area, sellers were getting overages. So she could have offered it to another buyer for $220,000, which would still been a good price, right? During the pandemic between 20 and 21, because that market right there is being underserviced. It wasn't enough houses in the 200 to $300,000 price range, so she knew she was going to sell it fast, and she could have made a quick $20,000 and still bought it off the MLS. But that shifted in February, and she didn't keep abreast of it. In February is when the first interest rate and loan qualifying changes happen, and that's when the big drop happened. A lot of people who were under contract in February were not able to close. They had a 50% dropout rate because that's when the debt to income ratio percentage is lowered, and that's when the interest rates rose. She didn't pay attention. So now we're in June and she's still practicing the same thing she was practicing in 20 and 21, and it bit her in the butt.
Yep, got it. You got it. You got to study. You got to study the market and the game and the history and everything else.
Yes. And so people say, "Oh, well, Janelle, you don't sell real estate. So, y- like, how can you teach me something?" I study. You could be a
Yeah.
person who's never sold a piece of real estate. And if you study the market, you're still relevant. You still understand the shift, the game. I don't sell real estate on purpose. I sell to family and friends and referrals. But if I wanted to get back in the game today, all I had to do was push a button.
Mm.
I do it to service my agents so that I'm not in competition with them. But I sell to my family and friends and my referrals to people who don't want to. But if you know real estate, you can stop selling real estate for 10 years and get back in the game. So again, the first two things, the main two powers that you guys can have is knowledge and land. You guys should be going out buying investment properties so that you can leverage your business. That's your expense money. I tie an asset to a liability. So if you had a rental property and it was giving you an extra $200 a month, that's an extra $200 a month that you could be spending marketing your business.
I know I'm new to this, but I always said that. I was like, I don't even understand why it should be a requirement that we own something that's realtors. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
people, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So I don't
yeah.
know.
I think you have first access to the information, right? If you're in the around real estate all the time, you're going to be hearing. And people ask me, agents ask me, say, you always say that we have the first access to the properties, but how is that so? They're on MLS. Everybody has access to the MLS. Your business should not be privy to just the MLS. We have way more systems to use than just the MLS. You guys are in the neighborhoods, in the environments, knocking doors, talking to people. That's your first access. You're right there where the action is. Because you should be in the real estate field every day, not offices. The next
I'm
thing y'all need to do is get out the office. You should be in the field.
I'm sitting right here now. I'm in where am I at? San Antonio, in the backyard of a Airbnb in the Tobin Hill section, kind of north of downtown, not far from the Riverwalk. And this neighborhood it's old. You definitely can tell it's old, but it's a beautiful. They got big ass plantation type houses over here. It's a flip going on right next door. I didn't already talked to the contractors and walked it and everything. I'm saying like everything we do got to be it. You know what I mean? It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know.
So imagine being in the area and you're talking to contractors who's working with investors. Do you know contractors' lips are real loose? They will tell you where this investor got this property from and how they're getting their properties and how many deals they've done with them. They will tell you who this investor is. You need to be networking with those people. So if you're sitting behind a desk the majority of your day, you're not in the field. That's where the real estate, that's where ideas, that's where learning, that's where options, that's where the knowledge your firsthand comes from. We got to be out there. I'm gonna take the first year of real estate. I sold houses to people I didn't know, and my own lead generation was going on to a HUD. If you go to the HUDhomestore.com, and I found the newest property in the area that came on the market, and I would sit my car in front of it with my car signs. Why? Because investors cannot buy a HUD house without you, and they're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to get that list, they're going to find all the fresh properties, and they're going to drive by them. Now, what's your HUD today? You guys can go on Facebook into all these investment groups, and as soon as they advertise a property for sale, you might not can buy it, but if you go park your car in front of it, guess who's going to be passing by? Investors, your new clients. If a new house goes on the market under 50 $100,000, it may not be the best property in the world, but guess what? Who's going to be coming by? Investors, people who want to buy it.
Janelle,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the homes for sale over here in my neighborhood, and I seen a couple of brand new homes. I said, man, these homes look brand new, and it was built in 2019, and they bought it for like 235. Now they're on the market for 345 and pending 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if you had 10 or 15 rentals that you did in 2019, and in 3 years it has gone up to $80 in equity. Imagine that wealth transfer that you can pass on from generation to generation. We
Now,
talking about
that's a
one
good way
house.
to look at it.
Imagine if you
Yeah.
had 15 of them.
That's a good way to look at it. And think about this, Andre. It's not too late.
True.
We're still
Yep.
in the midst of inflation, which means things are still rising and money is still being made. So if you didn't know that 2 years ago, that's fine. But now that you do know, there's 43 people on here that do know. If you don't take advantage of it, shame on you. You are the cure to your problem on down the line. I always tell the office staff, like, we cannot operate as if right now. We have to operate on the according to the future that we want, right? So if you want to retire from real estate and you don't have any um stocks and you don't have a retirement plan, you got to foresee what your future is going to look like. So right now, if you bought two houses a year and you work for the next 10 years, you own 20 rental properties. Someone else is going to live in them and pay for them and pay them off. So that's no money out of your pocket. And imagine having 20 years from now, 20 rental properties paying you $2,000 a month. That's better than any 401k you could ever imagine.
Breaking the matrix.
Breaking it, right? So now I'm making 2,000, I'm making $200,000. And that also cures the problem that the money that you guys, that some people are putting in their 401k now, will not even service them 20 years from now because things will be more expensive. So imagine the people who retired 20 years ago and they're living off their 401k. Can they afford what is going on right now? Can they afford the gas? No. Can they afford the grocery increase? No. For the people who bought the RVs, they can't even afford to move them right now. They were going to buy an RV, travel around the world, and live off of it. So unless they have a pension that's continuing to pay them throughout the rest of their life, you got to provide your own rescue. So stop thinking about today and stop thinking about this year and think about where you want to be and who you want to be 20 years from now. That same play that Andre's talking about right now can still happen for you today. Imagine buying five or even going in half with someone on five, and then 10 years down the line it's still paying you half. That's great.
And the scary part about it is we all see it every day in our parents and our elderly. You know, we're looking at it like we're looking at our future. We continue down this path. What we're gonna do? Where we're gonna be at? You know what I mean? So it's up to us, like you say, to do something now. Yes, yes, shit is higher, but it's always gonna be higher. You know what I mean? So nothing gets cheaper. So let's take action, y'all.
Yeah, but go ahead and debunk the myth that real estate is going to get cheaper, that the prices are going to go down. The availability will increase, but the prices are going to be what they are. They won't be as high, right? Like, so the price may not go down, but people won't be paying 20 or $30,000 over, because if you guys have noticed, the appraisers are regulating the market. These appraisers are not coming back over like they were before, because the appraiser's job is to control that for the investor. Their job is to protect the investor. So if you guys can understand how real estate works, it is imperative that we become a part of it. So I really hope this helped you guys. I really hope this helped you understand and kind of change your perspective and get going to be able to answer some of your clients' questions. Utilize your Google, utilize your vendor partners. The people that you need to be talking to right now really heavy is your appraisers, your inspectors, your contractors, your developers, your city officials, your mayors, your city council. These are people who are going to help you stay ahead of what's going on around you. Study NAR. These people post these articles. Read the Realtor magazines that come in the mail. The reason they still send them to you is because the rich and the wise have a really good way of hiding knowledge to you, but opening it to you at the same time. How many of you guys really read the Realtor magazine that you get in the mail every month?
My wife wish I throw them away because I never read them, but I keep them.
Yeah. So if you went back and you looked at those, AK, you will find knowledge that's free, forgiving, but it's tucked away because they know that most people won't read it. So they don't. So you'll never really have the excuse that they won't tell us. This is the white man's game. Like, well, I hear that a lot. Like they trying to keep us. I keep asking people, who are they?
But they've been doing it for years, though.
Yeah, but who are they? Who are they?
the the
Name them.
the, the smarter, the well, I want to say smarter, but the wealthier, the you know what I mean, that understands how money moves. You know what I mean? A lot of us, we get money and we use it as a trophy. We don't use it as a tool. And I
So,
think just by that alone, we kind of get lost in the shuffle of life and everything else.
So I'm gonna give you a clue. I'm glad you said that. That's exactly the mentality of a lot of people, right? So think about this. If you read that Realtor magazine, if you went to Trek's website and you looked at the advisory that they put out every month, if you looked on HAR, they put out a weekly digest. If you read the Houston Chronicle on Monday in the business session, they put out all of this information that we could use and learn. Clubhouse runs 24 hours a day from all countries around the world telling us how we can win. Yet we don't utilize those tools, and they say that they're keeping them from us. They're there. They just tuck them away for you to put a little effort into it to find out this information.
But they also feed you with, what I want to say, reality TV too.
Yeah, exactly. To keep your focus off, right?
Yeah, you're right.
They
You're right.
they feed you the news, the daily news. So we watch the news, but all the news do is to give us bad information.
I turned that off during the pandemic. I
Yeah.
cut the news off.
So, but that and that is correct. They do feed us with so much to keep us distracted from where the knowledge really is. But it's our job to stay on focus and know where it is. So I'm telling you guys, read the business section of your newspaper. They post the prime, the interest rates, and the stocks information. Every one of you are talking to me on a phone that has the stocks on your phone. Read that information. Go to PropStream and Bigger Pockets. They have free webinars as what's going on in the real estate market. I get an email every morning from I'm looking at my phone now so I can tell you the name of the company. But the Epoch. the EPOCH Times. It tells you everything that's going on in the stock market and with hedge funds and in investments. So subscribe to these little articles that you may seem like, oh my God, they send me too many emails. That's where they tuck the knowledge away.
Yeah, that bigger pockets is pretty cool. I turn music off when I turn the news off, and I just listen to Bigger Pockets podcast or somebody similar, Max Maxwell. Um, Music ain't never really did nothing for me, so I might as well indulge. I kind of got into real estate, not necessarily to be a realtor, but just to kind of because I need to feed my family, I need an income, but also to eat, breathe, and shit real estate. So all I do is around it the whole time. Like I said, I'm in San Antonio. I'm up here for a Mud District conference, but I'm also scoping out the land. Just not necessarily want to buy something, but just studying the landscape. You know what I mean? Driving through different neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Talking to people. So
That's amazing. You're in a at a mud conference, a mud district conference.
yes, ma'am.
How did you find that?
By being a Mud District director. So my
Mm.
thing is, when I first got in my neighborhood, we had a lot of kick doors and everything, and so I just kind of I always felt service. You know what I mean? I always felt that I wanted to do something. So that I just started looking around, seeing what the lowest level of government. I didn't even know what a mud district was, and so I figured out what it was. And all I had to do was own property, and I can run. And I'm already popularity. You know what I mean? Popularity is one of my things. So I just ran my campaign, made it important. Before I ran, nobody they even hold an election because nobody even cared. Y'all trust me, dog. This is the lane y'all want to get in. Nobody even cared in the community. Nobody cares now. I've been doing this for 12 years, and probably 12 people that came to the meeting. You know what I mean? But it's so much money. It's the biggest piece of your taxes right here is the mud district. And
Mm.
nobody gets involved. And we come up here to these mud district meetings and it's all these white people. And now slowly over the 12 years, I've been seeing more and more and more black people getting involved because I'm out preaching it. Just like now, I'm telling you, this was what you need to be doing. This is where you get access. Water bills, think about water bills. When you late on your water bill, who is that? That's somebody that's going in default. That's somebody that's having trouble. I don't use it like that, but I know that I have access to it. You know what I mean? It's all sorts of things that you can get into, man. So just be a part of your community. Should have come to you.
Well, okay, I offered to buy you lunch so you could teach me mud because yeah, I'm from Fort Worth. So when I
Mm,
came to Houston, I had no idea what a mud district was. Like it was the craziest thing to me.
uh-huh. It's just like you have to look at when you're outside the city and you don't have any city municipalities. They kind of set up a mini city council. You know what I mean? We handle
Mm.
the water, the sewage. You know what I mean? We deal with big budgets. You know what I mean? We got. I'm over here at the end of 288 and Beltway, so right there by Morningside, Tom Bass Park, all that area. So we have 5 major subdivisions over there, and so we have to manage that budget, millions of dollars. You know what I mean? I wish more people get involved because I don't like my current board, but I'm not here to campaign or politic right now. But it gets stressful at a time, but I like that I do it and I get a chance to do something. You know what I mean? A lot of people say shit, but they don't do shit.
Well,
So,
I do want to network with you because I teach people like that first part of the investment basics class is to find the water cutoffs and the utility
yep,
cutoffs and
yep,
to make sure that you network with the person who turns on the gas and off the gas in the neighborhood. And Fiverr sells these lists for like $25. And if you just understood mud and know that they had that information, you could actually get it for free because that
yeah,
is
it's
the
public
first
access.
sign. Yeah, that's the first sign that they're having problems is if their utilities get cut off, not the ones that cut them off themselves and transfer them, but the ones that actually get cut off. That's like doing door knocking and bird dogging from your desk.
Yes,
So I will buy you lunch. I want to know that information.
let's do it.
All right. So, anything else that you guys want to bring up, questions that you want to ask? I hope this was helpful for you guys because inflation is here. It's not going anywhere. It's not a four pie. It's not something people made up. It's something that really will redirect our business and something we have to take in consideration. So, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to go deeper in this conversation, we can sit down and have a separate conversation. You guys can always schedule a 30-minute discovery call with me for free just to kind of get abreast of how our services work. We also have this clubhouse on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8:30 till 9:30. And as you can see today, it's a great conversation. The more we bring to the conversation, the more we will get out the conversation. So, do you guys have anything before we get off today?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do also want to let you guys know you should receive an email. I will be out the office from today until Monday. Shannon will be out until Friday, and Ray will be gone from Friday until Tuesday. Is that correct, Ray?
I'll be gone from Friday to Thursday.
Friday to Thursday. And so Clubhouse will still go on. The office will still be in play. But we will get you an email out today to how to get in touch with us. But we will be out. I will be working foster camp for our foster kids between today and Saturday. I'll be there till Saturday. But I can still be reached by phone, and Clubhouse will still go on. We will actually have a guest on Thursday. You guys have been receiving emails. If you're in my office, you've been receiving great information from Brian Arsenet. And he's going to answer these questions about the interest rates and the inflation and the different programs and different creative things that they're doing from the lender perspective on Thursday. So we still will have Clubhouse.
So, Janelle,
Hmm.
you guys won't be there. You and Ravon won't be there tomorrow's to teach or to guide us with the dollar for dollars.
No, I'll
Ray,
be there. Yeah,
Ray will
I'll be
be
there
there.
this week.
Oh, you will? Okay, okay, good. And that's gonna be
Yeah,
tomorrow from 9:30 to 11:30
yeah.
Hmm.
again.
Yes.
So
Okay,
I won't be
okay,
here on
perfect.
Thursday, you guys. I have class on Thursday, but I'll be here tomorrow, and then Janelle and them will be here all next week.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ladies.
Shannon, will you be there Thursday or you still be at camp?
I'll still be at camp this Thursday, and we have no in-house boot camp this Thursday.
Yes.
We'll pick
Then
back up next week.
and boot camp kicks up next week, and legal update one it kicks up next week. So if you need your legal to for your SE to continue and to renew your license, then we will have that on the 23rd, and we will have boot camp on the Thursday. I can't remember what date that is.
You okay? So you guys are only offering legal. We still got to get the other classes, or it would just be
Um,
all the classes.
the only thing you what do you need? What year is
Uh,
this for
the
you?
second for the renewal is seven to eighth year.
So all you need is legal update one and two, and you need
It's like 18 hours. I mean, like
yeah.
I think it's like 18 hours.
So during the year, did you not get any CE other than that?
No, I didn't.
You're gonna
Usually, I
need
pay for those classes online. Like
you
I'll just
need it.
do it all.
Well, you need you need 3 hours of contracts too, and we just did that on Thursday. We won't be doing that again
Darn.
until July.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry I
You're
missed
welcome.
that.
Okay. Any other things? Any other questions before we get off? All right, Shell. I'm gonna give you a call here in just a little bit. Give me about 15 minutes, and I will see you guys on the app again tomorrow at 8:30.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all have a
Thank
great
Thank
day.
you,
you.
everybody.
You
Have a
You
good
too.
too.
day.
Mhm.